The Rescue Worker.
Marius was a young man from Illinois, too young for his alcoholism, drug addiction, and drug-selling lifestyle. Yet, his choices landed him on the wrong side of the law, and with a probation officer.
One day, Marius' probation officer called for a random drug test. Marius knew he wouldn't pass the test. He thought about leaving the country to escape the consequences.
But Marius' probation officer suggested a local Illinois addictions and rehab organization called Getaway. Marius decided he could not run away anymore. He had to accept that he had a problem. He moved into the center for help.
Marius was at Gateway's safe environment for over a year. He participated in group counseling sessions and activities. He made friends who also wanted to get their lives back. Marius left feeling empowered to return to his life as a new man. He's now a full-time student with a job and is even a committee member of the Illinois State Conference of Young People in Alcoholism Anonymous.
The people in Getaway invested in Marius, guiding him to a healed life with a purpose. And Marius opened himself to their influence. He listened to them, learned from them, and left a new man. Then he began influencing others for good.
Just as Gateway invested in Marius, Jesus had made the ultimate investment in humanity. He dedicated his life on earth to teaching, healing, and ultimately sacrificing himself for others. He's still at work teaching and healing people who are open to him.
And just as Marius channeled his lessons into good influence for others, Jesus calls us to follow his example to be rescue workers with him. We have been talking about the acronym RESCUE. Today, we'll touch on U for upbringing. Upbringing is when we are open to receiving guidance from those invested in us. And it is when we actively invest in others.
When we read the Bible, we see repeated pattern for developing people. God designed people to be developed, in part by other people. It's never people on their own. It's always people speaking truth to others.
That's an interesting point, Rebecca. Could you give us some examples?
Absolutely. Elijah to Elisha, Barnabas to Paul, Paul to Timothy. In fact, Paul alludes to this pattern of investing in others' development in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. He wrote, "You have heard me teach things that have confirmed by many reliable witnesses. Now, teach these truths to other trustworthy people who will be able to pass them on to others."
Those are great examples, Rebecca. Each of those people were mentors or spiritual friends to others. Upbringing means that we are blessed by others speaking God's truth to us. That truth may come as a question, an insight, a story, or an encouragement. It is our responsibility to open to others speaking into our life, to respond to what they say and to learn.
Upbringing also means that we are privileged to be God's instrument to speak truth to others. When He gives us an experience to share, a question to ask, a resource to share, it is our privilege to share that with others, to invest in them and their development as God leads.
You know, the idea of being a mentor, or rather a spiritual friend, can intimidate some people. I think many people have this idea that to be a spiritual friend, you need to first take or have all the answers, like you're some kind of guru.
I know, but that's not true, is it?
Definitely not. Whenever you listen or affirm or make a godly suggestion to someone who has turned to you, you are being a spiritual friend. Whenever you share your experience or pray with someone, that's being a spiritual friend. Your influence helps them grow in their walk with God. You also help them grow in God's kingdom perspective.
I love that. Whatever we've learned from God or experienced with Him, we can share with others and support them in their upbringing.
Yes, it is a beautiful thing. Upbringing can happen organically in casual gatherings. You can make the most of the opportunities that present themselves. But upbringing is also intentional. It happens when you decide to invest in someone. You commit to intentionally helping people in their walk with God, providing accountability, revealing blind spots, giving support, and offering different perspectives to consider. Your upbringing is most potent when you invest in 5 to 12 people. More than that, and it becomes less effective.
It is important to remember that this is a two-way street. Just as you are open to being a spiritual friend to others, it is beneficial to listen to spiritual friends God brings into your life. Often the ones who finish well and had at least one person who was invested in their upbringing. So be open, listen, and learn.
So, some spiritual friends may even be historical.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we can learn a lot by studying the lives of believers who lived before us, whether in the Bible or other historical believers. We can learn from their journeys, their mistakes, their lessons.
That is a great point. I find it hard to pick only one, but right now, I would say I'm particularly drawn to David in the Bible. I'm studying the Psalms, so I'm steeped in all the emotions, dilemmas, and prayers contained in the Psalms.
For me, it is Daniel. As a pastor and apprentice of Jesus, I learned a lot from Daniel's story.
So, as rescue workers, we keep ourselves open to being used by God for the upbringing of others. And we keep ourselves open to how God uses others to help in our upbringing.